My name is Melissa Edens, and I am a silver leader with the Essentially Curious About Essential Oils team with Young Living, and I am super, super excited tonight because this is a topic that has been not only on my mind, but in my discussions with my husband, in my discussions with some of our downline members. I'm just excited. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad we're recording it for the people who can't be, and thank you so much for waiting for me. First, we have our promotions, which we always go through. If you make a purchase of 190 PV, remember we're always talking about PV, not dollar amount. So if you're getting a purchase of 190 PV, you're going to get a free bottle of 15 milliliters of eucalyptus globulus. And if you get a 15 milliliter bottle of lemon oil. And if you get 250 PV, you're going to get those two oils as well as a Thieves household cleaner. And if you spend 300 this month, PV, you're going to get those three things plus the multigreen capsules. And on top of all that, if you make it as part of an Essential Rewards order, you're going to get an additional 5 milliliter bottle of Citrus Fresh. And I was told earlier today that the Citrus Fresh Vitality that is in the promotion is out of stock for the labels. So you might receive the regular non-vitality label, but please know that it is the same oil, whether it's vitality or non-vitality. They just have to label it differently for marketing for the FDA. So that's where that is. Okay, so our main topic tonight, beyond reason or excuse. I have really been looking forward to tonight's call. I already mentioned that. I hope to challenge you with tonight's call. The question that we're examining tonight is, what are our attitudes about running a business from home? Are you really a bona fide builder, or are you kind of a quote-unquote builder? Who really rules your time? Okay, that's what we're talking about. It's not enough to say we're working from home. We have to actually be making it happen through intentional daily activities, or the success that each of us desires is never going to happen. And tonight's question boils down to this. Where do you really fall in the home business perspective? Where do you fall into that, and how do you view your business from home, as a business or something else? Ladies, gentlemen, when you started up, maybe you didn't think this could give me a way to get debt free, or maybe this could help me with saving for a trip. Maybe you didn't think some of those things, but somewhere in the line, you made a tentative step. You tiptoed into tepid water to see what would happen. You shared a little, maybe you shared a lot, and people responded to that, and that sparked a fire. Hopefully, in that path, you made a decision for yourself. You made a commitment to yourself, to your goals, to your dreams, to the needs of you and to your family. Maybe, hopefully you made a commitment, because that commitment is your starting point. Now, here's the thing. Many of us struggle from there. What happens next? Where do I go from here to build my business? One thing that I've learned is that many of us harbor a particular attitude about home-based businesses in general and network marketing in particular. And, of course, Young Living is a network marketing company. We don't even realize that we're doing this, okay? But even before I tell you what it is, I want you to hear that this attitude is one that is of self-sabotage. Many of us are unknowingly stabbing ourselves, our businesses, in the feet with this attitude. This attitude is the question of whether or not a home-based business counts as a quote-unquote real job. Do you accept society's attitude that if you are not going out to work for someone else on someone else's time schedule and somebody else's payroll list, do you accept that it isn't a real, legitimate means of earning an income? A lot of us have that in the back of our minds, and we don't even realize it. So I want you to think about that. That's where I want you to feel challenged tonight, is to examine your attitudes about this. My husband and I were talking about this earlier today, in fact. My husband retired from the Air Force in late spring of 2015, so not quite a year ago. And in that time, he's been offered contract jobs several times. And really, my husband and I, neither one of us want that life anymore. My husband has many talents that he can use to work from home. He knows he's talented enough to make it happen. We've talked about these goals and dreams a lot in 20 years. But even though my husband has been hired for paying freelance jobs, it's sometimes been a struggle for him to not feel like he's not working simply because he's not clocking in for someone else's dime. So if this is an attitude that you find that you hold and that you struggle with, I really want to urge you to find a way to get rid of it. Get rid of this attitude, get rid of this idea that just because you're not going to somebody else's office place and clocking in, that it doesn't count. Because that attitude is toxic for your business at home. It is absolutely toxic. So let's say that you've moved on, you love your home business, you've accepted that it's real and legitimate. Now we need to work on how to make our businesses thrive. Okay, that idea that we talked about of that toxic idea is the idea that if you don't have a steady and regular paycheck coming in, you're not really working. But guess what? At the start of every successful company, some gal, some guy was busting his hump every day to make a dream come true. Walt Disney, the man, not the industry, he was laughed at, he was ridiculed, he was told his idea was foolish, he failed miserably more than once, and he still got up each morning intent on knocking it out of the park that day. And there's countless examples like his that we can point to. I can spend an hour just listing names. But the bottom line is this. Before they began selling their wares through a storefront or a home party networking group of moms somewhere, or before they hired their first assistants, their first people that they were paying on the payroll, before they did any of that, the entrepreneurs of our society had some things that they were doing in common. And these are things we should be doing for our businesses as well. First, they had a vision. They had some kind of mental picture of what their empire was going to look like when they reached the pinnacle of success. So that's where things like the dream board come into play. What are you working towards? What is your vision? And we've had a call on dream boards in the past, so you can search for that in our group. Second, they had a roadmap. Now, if you think of a game like Candyland, okay, kids' games, I'm surrounded by 7 kids, so bear with me. At the end of the game of Candyland, or any game, is the winner's circle. That's the image that I mentioned a second ago. That's your vision in the winner's circle. The path that you follow to arrive at that envisioned destination is your roadmap. And your roadmap is a very basic outline of how to travel from where you're at square one to the castle in the clouds at the end of the game. All right, that's step 2, have a roadmap. Step 3, and I'm sure you see where this is going from here. Alongside our roadmap and within our roadmap, we need to make sure that our roadmap has pit stops to check our progress. Okay, if you think about drawing cards in the Candyland game, you know that sometimes you get sent back. Sometimes there are step backs and setbacks that you can't avoid. And then other times you're going to get to shoot ahead because you just happen to meet the right person, or you just happen to come across this idea that worked so well that your team just, stuck with it and they grabbed hold of it and they jumped forward. So there's going to be these bumps and hills within our business building efforts. So you want to make sure every so often, once a month maybe, once a quarter, whatever, to check in with a mentor and to evaluate how is your business doing on the roadmap that you've put together to get to that end game, to get to that end vision. Okay, so we have the vision, we have a roadmap, we have places to check our progress. These are all things that those great entrepreneurs had. And they have a support group that goes along with that. They have somebody else that they can turn to. I mentioned a mentor just a second ago. They have other people that they can turn to bounce ideas off of, to use as support for putting together new ideas and new programs and new training, and to say, hey, what about this? Those people need to be part of your routine check-ins. So, I mentioned pit stops. When you see those race cars doing laps and they're going 200 miles an hour, however fast they go, they stop. They have a team that is there to help them get their car ready and running and back into shape to get back on the road and back onto the path. So I know I've gone from board games to NASCAR. I have 5 boys in my house. Just bear with me. So anyway, but these are the things that the successful entrepreneurs of our society have in common in terms of how to make their vision a reality. And we can sit and go through the steps. Those are the starting steps for me. Those are the ones that I've needed to use and needed to embrace as someone who is building a business from home. The next step, by the way, would be to make a daily plan. To make a daily plan to get from point A, from that starting point to the end point. So you're kind of working backwards, okay, a little bit. You're kind of walking the steps backwards. First we are going from our overall vision. Then we are moving from our overall vision to the roadmap. Then we're moving from the roadmap to the support team and to pit stops and checking in. So now you're going to move from there to your calendar and to your everyday progress and your everyday steps to go from point A to point B. So if you just keep working that backwards, then you can kind of see where that goes. But it all starts, though. It definitely starts, and this is our topic for tonight, it starts with that attitude. So start with an attitude check before you do anything else. Because if you don't have the attitude that goes with it, if you don't have the attitude that says, I'm going to make this happen, this is a legitimate business, this is something that can work, then no matter what roadmap you put together, you're going to find that it's much, much harder to go from point A to point B. And from point B all the way to the end of the road, whatever your dream thing is. So hopefully that has, hopefully this has given you some things to think about. We are, I try to keep these within a half an hour, even when they're a little bit later starting. So I'm not going to belabor all of this. But as we always do, we are going to have the recording for this on the event page. We'll also have the recording listed on the YouTube channel, and we will have the recording listed on the Business Builders Roundtable page on Facebook. So if you're not part of any of those groups and you would like to be, let me know in the event page, and I'll make sure that you're added. But hopefully tonight's call has given you, even though it was a little, even though it's a little bit short, hopefully it's given you some things to think about, because it really is an attitude. Starting your own business from home is an attitude. And if you want to make it work as a business, then you have to look at it and say, just because I'm not working for the CEO of Target doesn't mean that what I'm doing isn't real. The fact of the matter is, if you are intentional, if you're working the daily steps that lead you to your roadmap, if you are working to achieve the goals that will lead you to your vision and trying to maintain balance within your family, then it counts. It's a business. And your check might go up, it might go down. But Young Living sends you a check every month if you're building as a business. And you are already advertising for who knows how many different companies in the course of a day when you say, go to this place and get your oil changed, go to that place for a great meal, go to this other place and you're going to find the best clothes ever made for a size 14C foot or something like this. Whatever. You always are giving your opinion. You're giving your opinion. You're giving your endorsement for companies that you trust and that have worked well for you every day. And from network marketing, That's what you're doing when you tell people about Young Living. So as Deborah Rayburn said in one of her recordings the other day, why not you? Why not now? What is stopping you from sharing with other people and making this into a legitimate business, not just in your own mind, but for the people who are watching you? Do they see that you're doing a business? Because I guarantee you that whatever attitude you take about it is the attitude that other people are going to see. It's the attitude that they're going to expect from you in deciding whether or not what you're doing is, quote unquote, a real business. So you need to accept first, and you need to appreciate that it is a real business for yourself and that you are building something worthwhile before you can convince somebody else of that. So take some time, examine your attitude, examine where you are on that home business perspective. Get rid of the toxic mess that society tells you is not legitimate, because society is going to laugh at you. You're going to get that attitude sometimes of, I hate MLMs and I'm not doing it because it's an MLM and whatever. The fact is, Young Living has the best essential oils in the United States. We have the only seed to seal guarantee. We are the only company where you can go out to the farms and take a look at the process from the time the seed goes in the ground until it gets into the bottle and sent to your door. There's no other company that can offer these things. So those are the facts. And those are what you should be projecting when you tell people about it. And when they start to say, nah, it's an MLM, thanks anyway, know that there's somebody else out there that will appreciate what you have to offer. So examine your attitude, examine your roadmap, find a good mentor, and come back to see us next time on Wednesday for our Business Builders Roundtable, because hopefully you're getting something good out of it. Next week we are going to be talking about, I have to look this up now. Okay, next week we're talking about your first local events. Some ideas to make it fun, some ideas to get people engaged and involved. That's my 2-year-old. He's trying to help out here. He's very enthusiastic about his Berenstain Bears. So next week we're talking about your first local event. Hopefully it'll get you some ideas for make and takes and for ways to keep people involved. And I am really looking forward to hearing your thoughts and your questions and your discussion about the attitude that is needed to build a legitimate business with Young Living. So I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me this evening and for being part of our group. Have a great evening. Happy oiling.
And is no longer being recorded.